That guy over there is Bob Pollock from the Extension Service. Rounding out the year, huh? Do you do those sorts of things within the office, the year in review for Penn State Extension? What are some of the things you look at? How much did it rain and how warm did it get?
Yeah, some of that. There's a lot more looking ahead to what's going to need to be done for the coming year and the months.
Okay.
For the winter months.
Let's talk about that. By the way, you can give Bob a call at 479-1160 or at 349-WCCS if you have a question for him about lawns and gardens and trees and shrubs and plants and anything of that nature. Right?
Won't probably be doing a lot of that outside today, will you?
Not going to be mowing outside today, but I did know.
Although it's warm, temperature-wise, it's going to be pretty balmy.
Yeah, it is.
Put on your light rain jacket.
A little spongy.
Go to work.
A
little spongy.
Well, that's one of the things that I noticed the other day. My son parks his car out on the driveway. When he walks into the house, he comes over this patch of grass. Well, you probably need to vary that up a little bit so you're not walking over that same patch all the time, because I noticed as I was walking across it the other day, your foot just slips out from under you and tears the grass out too. And it's pretty easy at this time of the year to wear a path, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Or make a rut.
Well, yeah. So I want to talk.
Maybe you need a sidewalk there.
I don't want to put it right through the middle of the yard.
Okay.
I want him to walk around and use the rest of the driveway and then come in on the sidewalk. But no. But those sorts of things, paths that you've worn through walking through the grass. And the other day, I don't even know who it was or why they were there, but somebody pulled up into my driveway from the road and didn't cut it and got up onto the lawn and put an enormous rut from their tire onto my yard. Repairing of those things, does it have to wait until the spring?
And it wasn't a buggy wheel either, was it?
No, this was a car. This was a car or a truck.
Yeah, with as wet as things are in the soil conditions now, it's a little difficult to repair that properly now. I mean, you can try to just fill it in a little bit the best you can, and then finalize that in the spring. Hopefully when we get a little bit of drier weather, the soil dries out enough that you can work it properly and then get it reseeded or fixed up however you need to.
That's what you're going to have to do. Come spring.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless we get a window during the winter time where things dry up and the ground's not frozen, that you can get in there and do it without really disrupting the structure of the soil.
Yeah.
That's the thing we always get into, and especially this year with as severely wet as it's been. Every time you're on the soil, you're almost doing damage to it, and you're causing compaction, breaking up that soil structure, which will then, down the road, when you want to grow something in it, it's either going to be compacted and hard like concrete, and things won't grow well. It's going to be very challenging to work that soil up, to loosen it up. That becomes more difficult. So anything we do when the ground is saturated or the soil's too moist, essentially causes damage to that soil that we'll have to repair at some point or try to rebuild that structure.
I'm sure there are a lot of people in the same boat with me who live in the country who don't have sidewalks and curbs all along the roadways. And so when people come down the road and there's another vehicle and it's our narrow dirt road, they decide, well, let's drive up on this guy's lawn. And so down along the roadway, I mean, there's all kinds of damage from people driving their vehicles on people's lawns. I don't understand that if they would like me to come to their house and drive on their lawn, but it causes damage. And so folks, come spring, you have to get out there and get that fixed up.
Yeah, those become those areas that you're always having to repair or work on, or where the snowplow goes in the winter to get the snow off the roads. Sometimes that gets a little aggressive, and you get gravel and things thrown up on the yard that you have to clean up, and eventually. And so all those things happen are just repetitive events that you have to deal with,
so
even though you don't want to.
End of the year, and it's been a wet 2018. Do you pay much attention to the predictions for the amount of moisture that people are expecting, even scientific explanations for the amount of moisture expected in the coming year?
Well, you always kind of look ahead to see, wow, are we in a trend here? Is this going to be similar?
Mm-hmm.
Will 2019 be similar to 2018? And if so, what am I going to do? Because it was just a challenge this year to get things done in a timely manner, especially when you're working outdoors and trying to plant crops and get all that done and maintain them and harvest them. And it was just a challenge to do anything agriculture related, as well as I'm sure construction and other things that you have to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
the elements and soils and all that.
Yeah.
It was just a challenge to do that well and efficiently. So, yeah, you kind of look at, all right, so did I learn anything from this year that I can apply to next year if we have another wet season?
Mm-hmm.
Some people may throw up their hands in the air and say, forget it, and others will dig in and
I learned I need to get a
keep
bus
going.
ticket.
Yeah.
I need to start looking for grounds down south somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, higher ground, what at least did reasonably well versus things that didn't, and could I, look at other crop combinations or something, or plant this here instead of here, and so it's just you're always kind of got to be thinking about that and what you can do better or what you can do differently that you might have a better result.
Let me throw this one at you, as it's the last Friday of the year, and we're just spitballing here. A lot of people put out their bird feeders in the wintertime, and they use the wild bird feed mixes. While it's lovely to have all those birds coming in and enjoying them all winter long as they do their little socializing around the feeder, those are actual seeds that they're eating, and those seeds then get deposited by them in nature's own way. And around your house. Some of those seeds are thistles. And we'd like to thank the birdseed manufacturers for putting out thistle seed. Those things come up, and they are pretty nasty, aren't they?
They can be, yes.
Yeah, they've got the little taproot going on them there, and they're hard to dig out. Are there particular kinds of seeds to avoid putting in your bird feeder?
Well, I guess you'd look at, you would have to look at the particular seeds that are in the seed the mix that you purchase, and look at those and see if there's anything in there that, now they really can't put in those birdseed combinations. They're not, if it's a noxious weed, if it's on the those lists, of noxious weeds and things, then legally you can't put that in that mix.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, where you produce those, if there can be a little bit of inert material that can be, and usually it'll say that on the label, the percentage of other things other than those seeds that you want to have in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may even say weed seeds or something like that too, and have a percentage there. And a little bit of that is allowed because it's impossible to get 100% of that stuff be 100% clean.
Yeah.
But so they're not going to put noxious weeds in there, hopefully, unless it's some off-brand thing or unknowingly.
Where did this come from?
But just try to look at that, and then, of course, you can clean up around your own bird feeder what gets knocked out and goes on the ground and may try to grow there. You can kind of deal with that and keep that cleaned up the best you can. But when the birds fly away, you have no control over that. Yeah. So you just got to...
And they decide to hang around that bird feeder a little bit, so hanging around, they do their business nearby.
And if some of those seeds are annual seeds versus perennial seeds, of course, annuals are going to be easier to deal with than any kind of a perennial plant or seed may be.
I have to say this is one of the dumbest subjects I've ever brought up on this program. But
it's just amazing where your mind wanders,
isn't it?
You're so
gamely taking a hack at it here, and I appreciate that so much that you're trying so hard.
Well, there could be potential issues with some of that, and spreading seeds around like Johnny Appleseed.
There you go.
But maybe in this case, things you don't want to have spread too far.
People planning their gardens now for the coming year. And thinking
in
their
minds,
yeah, and then maybe some are thinking about starting plants soon as well through the month of January.
Yeah, and anybody that's trying to get an early start, or if you are growing some things indoors, you might be growing some herbs or some lettuces or things under light, shorter day crops that you can grow indoors. and with the aid of usually some sort of lighting to give you the day length that you need. That's one of the big issues we have. Not only the cold temperatures, but we can use heat to adjust that in a greenhouse.
Length of daylight.
But the length of day and the quality of the light levels makes it a real challenge to grow things during the winter months here, even in a protected structure like a greenhouse or a high tunnel. So supplemental lighting is usually necessary if you're going to be able to grow a crop in a reasonable amount of time and in a quality crop. But you can be doing that if you have things set up to do that. So yeah, you would have your seeds and keep things going.
Does Extension have literature on starting plants indoors and nurturing them through to the spring season, or is it just simply you can grab it off the internet?
Yeah, you can grab it off there. Seed packets have instructions for how to sow this particular seed and all that that you can pretty much. And then for major crops and things like that, there'll be things, but just basic stuff, no. Okay. Not anymore. We did it one time, and now that labels. There's required information. It has to be on labels now, so that has to be there, and then you just go from there. But
all right, we struggled through this segment and we made it. Congratulations! Are you going to be touching base with us from the farm show next week, or are you going to be here?
Yes, I will be at the farm show.
You'll be at the farm show.
So we'll touch base there.
Okay.
Which that'll run from the 5th to the 12th of January. It's here already.
Right, and pay particular attention to the butter sculpture, okay? Because we need to know. He's Bob Pollock from the Extension. So have you heard? What's the butter sculpture going to be this year?
No, I have not heard. That's not been announced yet.
It's not Bob Pollock? I mean, Pollock and butter? No? A giant bust of your head?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Wouldn't that be something to see, though? Have a safe trip to Harrisburg. Enjoy it.
We'd be lighting a fire pretty quickly.
Something like that. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS AM 1160, 101.1